In 1993, the world would be introduced to a R&B quartet by the name of Escape that consisted of Tamika Scott, Latasha Scott, Tamika Cottle, and Kandi Burruss. The group would generate 6 top 10 hits and 3 platinum albums, but unfortunately, Escape could not escape the girl group curse. Due to jealousy, rumors, and other outside influences, the group would unofficially disband in 1999. While all of the group members would find success in their solo careers, the most successful one would be Candy. Not only would she write hit songs for herself, she will also write for Pink, Destiny's Child, and TLC. The single No Scrubs that Candy co-wrote with group member Tamika Cottle would win them a Grammy. With this, Candy would become a big name in the music industry, especially in the Atlanta scene. While this was happening, a reality TV show series would premiere in 2006 called The Real Housewives of Orange County. It was such a hit that it spawned 2 other franchises, The Real Housewives of New York and The Real Housewives of Atlanta shortly after. And the Atlanta franchise would be the start of Candy's reality TV legacy.
I am an original Georgia peach, and I can write hot records. We see each other.
Let it in your motherfucking brain.
They're like, oh, let's not act like Candy didn't give us 21 seasons of great television. You're gonna be proud of me. That's all I got to say.
The purpose of this series is to chronicle Candy's reality TV journey via The Real Housewives, but she didn't join the franchise until the second season. So let's quickly summarize season 1 so we can understand the dynamic of the cast. Season 1 introduces us to Nene Leakes, Sheree Whitfield, Lisa Wu, Deshaun Snow, and Kim Zolciak. Kim's storyline for the season consisted of her relationship with a man nicknamed Big Papa and her pursuit to become a country singer. Big Papa, who was rumored to be business mogul Lee Najjar, used his connections to get Kim in the room with award-winning super producer Dallas Austin. This business venture would prove to be difficult for Dallas because of the fact that Dallas hasn't worked in country music, Kim has no singing experience in the studio, and most importantly, he doesn't feel that Kim is motivated enough. While in the process of making Kim's desired one-hit wonder, her child's music coach would write a handful of songs where Kim would play for Nene. Nene will almost automatically gravitate to the song Tardy for the Party. This would convince Kim to pick this song, and Nene will also state that she would want to be on the track.
I know that you have this vision of rapping behind me singing country and whatnot.
I don't rap, but I do sing.
Like what?
I can sing anything. I'm not interested in being a singer, but I can sing.
Now, Kim's and Nene's relationship should be studied by Ivy League scholars. At this point, they are good friends, but Nene and Sheree are on the outs after Nene was left off the guest list of one of Sheree's parties. This puts Kim in the middle because her and Sheree are also friends.
My name's there. Nene's isn't.
What are the odds of all people? It's Nene who's not on the list.
The security need to pull me to the side. That shit ain't about to happen.
Now, Nene views this as Kim playing both sides of the fence because her and Kim have allegedly talked crap about Sheree before, but now Kim is acting as if she and Sheree are great friends.
I've always kind of liked Sheree. I didn't really know her.
She's hung out with me many a times and talked about Shrek.
This irritates Nene up to the point that Nene drunkenly sings a tune.
Ooh, I ain't pretending we were down to Austin.
The song is about Kim.
This would eventually get back to Kim, and Kim would send Nene a very angry text.
You are a low-budget bitch.
Fast forward to the reunion, and Nene and Kim are still on the outs.
You can't sing, and you're hearing it from me.
You know what?
You can't
The footage
sing.
you saw, you're
you
right.
You can't sing.
You're right.
And this will bring us to the end of season 1. Now, you may be wondering what happened to Kim's country music career? Well, Kim does state that she would be releasing the single Tightrope and an album soon after. However, TMZ released an article regarding a post Dallas wrote on his MySpace blog stating, "We are not doing a song, we are not doing an album. That was only for television." This was November of 2008, and as of the making of this video, Tightrope nor a follow-up album has been released. According to the Nelson ratings, episode 1 of season 1, Welcome 1, Welcome ATL, had a viewership of 656,000 viewers in its initial broadcast. That number nearly doubled for episode 2, It's My Party, with 1.18 million viewers. To date, episode 1 is the least watched episode of the Atlanta franchise. The reunion special brought in 2.8 million during its broadcast. This brings us to season 2. Pre-production. Deshaun Snow would be let go as a cast member and production would approach Tamika Tiny Kotal to join the cast. She would decline, most likely due to her developing a reality TV show with friend Toya Wright for BET called Tiny and Toya. That show was set to air around the same time as season 2 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. However, she would suggest production speak with Kandi about the opportunity. Kandi would accept and start filming for season 2. Season 2 would air July 30th, 2009, with Kandi added to the opening credits. Season 2 starts off with Kandi catching up with Lisa Wu. They discuss the play that the two will be acting in called The Pocketbook Monologues and Candy's new engagement with fiance AJ, whose Candy's daughter loves but mother, the infamous Mama Joyce, does not because the fact that AJ has 6 kids. Kandi also mentions that she is working on her solo project. She also states that she knows about Kim and her working with her good friend Dallas Austin.
Knowing Dallas doesn't mean he wants to work with you.
This is when Lisa lets her know that Kim is pretty much on the outs with the other women, including Sheree. This is the season we get the infamous wig shifting scene. Outside of this, we don't see much interaction between Kandi and Lisa, outside of Lisa supporting Kandi on her music showcase and Kandi supporting Lisa on her fashion line. The same can be said for Sheree, who is also working on her fashion line, a sentence I'm probably going to say more than once in this series. Kandi meets Sheree at one of the White's lavish parties. Here we learn that Kandi does not drink a lot, especially in public.
I don't really drink often at all. I have control issues. I like to be handling my stuff, and I don't want to be out somewhere and people see me acting a fool.
This is a very important detail about Kandi that will come up later in the series. The real event for Kandi in season 2 is the Tardy for the Party feud between her, Kim, and Nene. Again, Nene and Kim are on the outs with each other, but as time moves on, the two will be on speaking terms again. So much so that Nene will try to get Kim back on good terms with the other ladies. This wouldn't work out initially, but Nene did get Kim and Kandi to officially meet. The two would relate over both being Tauruses and having birthdays just 2 days apart. This would be enough for Kim to ask Kandi to produce the track for her. Later, Nene played the track for Kandi. It was the country version. Kandi would express that she hasn't worked in country, so she would produce a pop version of it and create a reference track to play for Kim. While Kim did like this version, she was very hesitant with doing the actual vocals for the track. But Kandi and her producers would encourage Kim enough to actually get in the booth. After having enough to work with, Kandi would tell Kim where she would think Nene would come in.
I was thinking either you could do the don't be tardy for the party, and we can have her come back and do the oh.
However, even though her and Nene have rekindled their friendship, and Nene has expressed still wanting to be on the track, Kim has changed her mind.
Like, I'm not so sure that I think Nene needs to be on the song at all.
The two would produce the track without Nene's involvement. While this is happening, Kandi and Nene would have their small interactions developing an opinion of each other.
She just appears to be just a little bit ghetto to me.
If I'm ghetto, she ghetto.
Despite this, Nene would still invite Kandi to be a part of the alter ego photo shoot where Kandi would have a hood persona. However, after some of her and AJ's family members became victims of a drunk driver, leaving one in the ICU, Kandi would change the theme of her photo shoot to center around that to work as a PSA of sorts. She will also direct Nene's photo shoot. During the alter ego reveal, Kim will suffer from a fall and be carried to her car, and this is when Nene would hear the new version of Tardy for the Party.
I cannot believe you changed the country Tardy for the Party into a pop song. It was so hot. I was like, yes, let's do it.
Later at Sheree's Independence divorce party, Kim finally tells Nene that she is off the track.
After I went in the studio with Kandi and did the song, it was really emotional for me. Just think at this stage of the game that I want to record it on my own.
Later that evening, Nene and Kandi will continue discussing what happened earlier in the evening, and the conversation turns left.
That's really what's
That's life. I mean, it's just like stuff I heard you say behind my back.
whatever you heard I say, I'm going
Come on, you
somebody
go
tell you that I talk about you, you should come and ask me first before you start making a point and opinion.
Look, we can calm it down and have a real conversation.
We are having a real conversation like two women. I'm telling you
Exactly.
right now.
What I'm saying, we can bring it on down.
Now, I think that Kandi should have never mentioned this he said, she said to Nene, but in her defense, Kandi has been victim of more vicious rumors and has probably taken a more apathetic, nonchalant approach to gossip. Days after, at Kim's and Kandi's joint birthday party, they would debut the final version of Tardy for the Party with great acclaim from the party guests. Then Kandi would have her solo performance for her EP album, but Kim would not be in attendance. However, she and Sheree were planning Kandi's engagement party where Mama Joyce would be asked to give a impromptu toast.
Come on, Mama, say something.
Mama Joyce still has a level of disdain towards AJ, not wanting to interact with him at all, but family therapy would allow her to lay out some of her concerns, which is his kids and his financial status in relation to Kandi's.
And if she got the money's got to come from her.
But her money, I don't depend on Kandi for no. Kandi don't. Her money is her money.
A concern that will be much more prevalent once Todd Tucker enters the picture. But for now, AJ assures her that Kandi's money is hers and the two would be cordial with each other. Unfortunately, we will learn that Kandi and AJ will break up, and shortly after, AJ would pass away. At the reunion, Kandi explains that she keeps herself occupied to help with the thought of him being gone. Also at the reunion, Tardy for the Party would come up and Kim would express her appreciation for Kandi, and Nene and Kandi would explain their feelings about one another, but agree that they are not friends nor enemies. While Kandi and Kim's relationship will wane away throughout the seasons, Nene and Kandi's relationship will stay consistent throughout their time on the show. While no singular issue between the two would be the focus of either one's seasonal story arc, they almost always would have issues that would be addressed during the reunions. Their issues in season 2 in particular would also spill over outside of filming.
Wait a minute. I ain't never back down to you in person, and I still won't, so why you going there with me, baby?
Post-production. Season 2 will mark Lisa Wu's last season of the show to date, but she would make a few cameos throughout the years. Tardy for the Party gained notoriety in the dance music scene as well as the LGBTQ community. The song would have 29,000 official digital downloads and 6 over-the-air radio plays. Season 3 will introduce us to 3 major players: former supermodel Cynthia Bailey, attorney-at-law Phaedra Parks, and Red Hair Kandi. Red Hair Kandi made a brief appearance in Season 3.
What? Because you've been talking all day.
But she will return in a more prominent form in later seasons.
Drag you in this bitch.
As far as Kandi and Cynthia are concerned, the relationship is pretty casual, and besides one major hiccup between the two,
What matters to me, and why are you all up in here doing all this? It's not me for that.
Have a conversation with you.
the relationship is pretty stable throughout the years. Now, Phaedra and Kandi is another story. In Season 3, the two seem to be acquainted already and seem to relate over having a free-spirited love life and being successful businesswomen. Phaedra is an entertainment attorney with a clientele the likes of Jermaine Dupri and Bobby Brown. She also represents several exotic entertainers, priding herself on representing those that usually have a hard time finding legal representation due to their lifestyles.
What does a stripper need a lawyer for?
During her season debut, we are also introduced to Apollo Oneida, a semi-major player in Kandi's reality journey. Apollo was somewhat recently released from jail, and after him and Phaedra married and were now expecting their first child. Or was it the other way around? The major component in Phaedra's storyline for Season 3 is her due date, which Kandi plays a minor role in revealing. The definite due date of Phaedra's pregnancy came to question during a Mother's Day brunch. Before Kandi and Phaedra decide to ruin women's pH balances,
I told you about the sugar?
Yeah,
Oh, sugar and you for JJ. But the powdered sugar really turns into really sweet syrupy.
Phaedra was questioned on her due date.
Phaedra, when was your due date? And it was July, but this baby getting ready to come up out of here. I thought you were 5 months pregnant. Yeah, my due date was July 26th or August 1st.
But isn't it dangerous to have a baby at 6 and 7 months?
Not if everything's fully formed and his lungs are functioning.
Despite the 5 other mothers at the table calling her bluff, Phaedra stuck to her quote-unquote truth all the way to the delivery room where Kandi was in attendance.
She's good. She's 40 weeks.
That's what I was telling her. She's talking about, oh, I'm gonna go 2 months early.
You are term.
The doctors I was seeing, well, they just have different theories than you.
It's not theory. This is what.
Once Kandi had official confirmation, she revealed to the other ladies of the newly found information.
Y'all were right. Phaedra was full term. Her mother's very religious, and they're not allowed to have babies outside of wedlock in their family.
And despite this, Phaedra still held up to the lie of her due date.
At one point in time, I wasn't sure if the baby was going to be a healthy baby.
Kim from Stratford, Connecticut says, Phaedra, what date did Apollo get out of prison? What date were you married? And when was the baby born? It's simple math. Come clean already.
I mean, he got out in, I believe it was May of 2009. We were engaged in July, and we got married November 1st.
So you were married when you got pregnant?
Well, when you go back, no, I might have been a month pregnant when I got married. A month and a half pregnant.
Right.
One thing that we can say about Phaedra is that she is going to stick to a lie like grits on the wall.
Whatever that means.
Outside of this, Phaedra and Kandi seem to have the most genuine friendship of all when related to the other friendships on the show. Outside of Phaedra and Kandi's interaction with the ladies is contained to Kim and the aftermath of Tardy for the Party. Kandi claims that she wanted to do a 50-50 split for the revenue of Tardy for the Party, which made somewhere between $80,000 to $100,000. However, when Kim's attorney reviewed the agreement, they advised her to change the terms. So in order to avoid a rift in her and Kim's relationship, Kandi decides to let Kim have all the revenue. However, Kandi does make it clear that Kim would have to pay her for her services in her next musical venture. The ring didn't mean a thing. Despite Kim reaching her goal to be a one-hit wonder, she is still pursuing her music career with a new single based off a Jimmy Kimmel joke.
He was like, "Where's your ring?" And I was like, I don't have it. I'm not wearing it anymore. Like, that's over. And he's like, so the ring didn't mean a thing? And I was like, it didn't. He's like, that's your next song.
Jimmy Kimmel is a comedian. He made a joke, and it just went right over Kim's head.
This aligns well with Kandi's plan of promoting her solo album and developing her own record label where she would help develop new artists, which include Miss Lawrence. Kandi agrees to write another single for Kim only on the condition that she takes it seriously and get vocal lessons. While Kim does agree to these terms and fulfills them, she doesn't seem to be focused on the art of the music, but rather the look of a pop star.
Most first-time artists are not riding around in Lamborghinis and having a limo full of luggage. Kim has one single, and she's acting like she's Lady Gaga.
But with Kim showing some effort, Kandi decides to add Kim as her opening act to her mini tour. And despite some hiccups involving Nene and Sweetie, the tour was a success. This leads us to the reunion where Kandi reveals that she and Kim could not agree on the terms for The Ring Didn't Mean a Thing, so the single was not released. And despite Kim stating that she is appreciative of Kandi and all the work she did for her, Kim still circled around the topic of Kandi being properly compensated for her singles. There was also a comment about Kandi's relationship with Kim.
Wendy from Seattle says, are you so adventurous sexually that you also will swim in the lady pond? Maybe you can't say no to Kim because you have a crush on her.
Oh. No. You don't know. Have to worry about that one.
No.
Please understand.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Another detail that will come up later in the years. Outside of her interaction with the other ladies, Kandi has decided to be celibate after the loss of AJ, and while she did date, nothing serious came of it. And her lack of a physical, intimate life did not keep her from talking about it on her video podcast, Candy Coated Nights, where her and a panel of friends would discuss some steamy bedroom details. This would bring us into season 4. Pre-production. Longtime friend of the show and eventual peach holder Marlo Hampton is introduced in this season as temporary girlfriend of football player Charles Grant. This season starts off with Charles and Marlo being guests on Candy Coated Nights, where she would be asked a question by Candy.
Well, Marlo, how did you get your money game up? God.
This question would not sit well with Marlo, and she would address it later, asking some questions of her own.
It's like, I've heard you're a big mama, that you take care of guys. But I wouldn't dare say that around the girls. I would have pulled you to the side and said, hey, Candy, I heard you're a big mama.
I don't know why Marlo was so upset about Candy asking this question. It's kind of like, have you really never been asked this question by anyone else? I feel like you should have had an answer prepared besides God. But anyway, the tension between the two would carry over into the first true cast trip to South Africa, where the women would discuss their feelings about Marlo.
I'm cool with Marlo, but personality-wise, me and Marlo are very, very different. But I just feel like, you know, her personality is extremely over the top.
Later, Candy would clarify her comments.
You assume that just because I said to you, sometimes it's overly doing it, that I'm hating on the way you dress. I think you dress very nice. I think you wear a lot of nice things.
Thank you.
But I will say it comes off as a little bit obnoxious and overly bragging when you just overdo it.
But Marlo would still have animosity towards Candy and take jabs at her about her dating life.
So the guy you're dating now, does he work? That used to work for production here?
Yes,
Oh,
he
he
does
works?
work.
Okay.
It's important to mention that Todd Tucker, Candy's future husband, was not only introduced to Candy during the South Africa trip.
You know that you're going to marry.
I am.
He is with you. He's going with you everywhere.
But also to Marlo, and a lot of details about what happened behind the scenes on the trip will come out later in later seasons. But the most important thing that happened during this trip is Black Babygate.
This ain't nothing about a black baby.
While on safari, Candy and Cynthia would make their feelings known about Kim not attending the trip.
I'm still sitting here trying to picture Kim at an orphanage holding African babies with snot running down their nose. I'm still trying to picture that.
Just the visual of her in an African village at an orphanage,
But bone-dropping bone carrier Sheree would put her own swing on things.
No, it wasn't that. You said you didn't see Ken at an orphanage holding little black kids.
What? No.
Obviously, Kim would be upset about this because she considered Candy a friend, and Candy would clarify her comments again.
Let me say this to you face to face. I don't think you're racist.
Outside of the group drama, Candy would start her side business, Bedroom Candy, a line of intimate toys. Music-wise, Candy would take a whack at country music in collaboration with Jody Messina and write a song called Money Don't Grow on Trees. However, Messina's record label would not pick up the song. This would bring us to season 5. Post-production, original cast member Sheree Whitfield would not return for season 5, but she would return in a few seasons to continue with the construction of Chateau Sheree.
It's still unfinished. It takes a long time. It's a huge house.
Also, I believe that Candy Coated Nights would not be mentioned again on the show, but it did get picked up by Bravo as a web series in 2018 for 1 season. Season 5 brings us into the golden age of RHOA with the introduction of former Miss USA Kenya Moore and Portia Williams, the granddaughter of civil rights activist and Nobel Peace Prize winner Hosea Williams. Now, Candy and Portia do not have much screen time together, mostly due to the fact that Portia was a last-minute addition to the cast due to Kim's abrupt departure.
All right, I'm done. I'm done with this whole thing. I'm not doing it.
That's some bullshit.
The behind-the-scenes reason for Kim's exit is because the other cast members complained to production about Kim not being held to the same standard as the other cast members as far as her filming obligations were concerned.
You leave early every time. Every time. It doesn't matter where we are. You got a good excuse why you cannot come.
And with Kim's spot vacant, Portia would be invited to the cast trip. where her and Kenya animosity towards each other would hit a boiling point.
Still fabulous.
Well, you better preach now.
Right? Fabulous. Gone with the wind, fabulous.
As far as Kenya and Kandi are concerned, they also don't have any major interaction with each other this season, mostly due to Kenya's relationship with Phaedra. Kenya's and Phaedra's relationship started on good terms, with Phaedra being impressed with Kenya's social status. However, booty workout wars and Kenya's overt flirtation with Apollo would have Phaedra quickly singing a different tune.
I mean, I liked her. She was cool. She was funny. Business was going cool at first, and then it went awry. You know, I think she could have a chemical imbalance.
While Kandi would not directly involve herself in this feud, she would clarify her stance in the matter.
Now it's like, yeah, me and Phaedra definitely have a connection, but I don't feel like I act shady because you guys have whatever, you can say what you want.
It is also important to point out that this is the season where Apollo made his claim about Kenya propositioning him one night in LA.
I was in LA at the Beverly Wilshire. She was trying to get with me. Yeah, and then I had to check out the Beverly Wilshire and go to the Lux Hotel because she was trying to get with me.
This claim would completely change the dynamic between Kenya and the entire group. Outside of this, we get an official introduction to Todd Tucker, Kandi's future husband. In her 2023 Club Shay Shay interview, Kandi revealed that shortly after meeting Todd while in South Africa, the two began dating, prompting him to quit the Atlanta Housewives production team. A year would pass and the two would begin discussing topics of marriage, encouraging the two to move in with each other, shop for engagement rings, and discuss prenups.
Prenups?
Yes.
I think prenups are fine.
Business-wise, a year after Bedroom Kandi launched, it would win a AVN award for Best Toy Line in 2012. After the filming of Season 5, Kandi would get her first spin-off show, The Kandi Factory.
This season on The Kandi Factory.
I'm not going to go into great detail about the show because it's a reality competition show where Kandi would write a song for two unknown artists each week and have them compete for a chance to record the track and film a music video. The show will run for one season and showcase her songwriting abilities, with her production team developing the Artist of the Week. Phaedra will also make a cameo. This brings us to Season 6. I forgot to mention that music-wise, Kandi would venture into gospel with her song Stay Prayed Up featuring Marvin Sapp. There are no changes in the main cast this season, and the dynamic between Kenya and the group continues to heighten with potential friends to the show, Monique Smith, wife of former football player Chuck Smith, and Natalie Williams, wife of R&B singer Christopher Williams, joining in on the fun. Monique would inform the group of Kandi's and Phaedra's past relationship with Chuck.
But it was like close enough to where him and my mom was real cool. They used to talk on the phone a lot. I knew his parents, I knew his daughter, and stuff like that.
Which the two dismissed as simple insecurity on Monique's part. Natalie would confide in Cynthia about her past run-ins with Todd.
I meant that Todd knows how to find himself in situations to better himself.
This would come to a boiling point at the infamous Pillow Talk night.
I'll drag you in this bitch. Don't talk about her man, huh? This is my man. Everybody talking about my man, my man.
Kandi will also find herself defending Todd within her personal circle.
At people joining together and being married, they become one.
Okay.
So how's that going to equate when you guys get married? Like, is Ty gonna, well, no, I run this, blah, blah, blah.
One person in particular, Mama Joyce, would be the driving force creating a rift in Kandi's and Todd's relationship.
There ain't no river high enough. Ain't no ocean deep enough. Ain't no desert hot enough to keep me off your ass, baby.
Despite external influences, Todd and Kandi would find success in their first business venture together. A stage play, A Mother's Love, loosely based off Kandi's relationship between her, Todd, and Mama Joyce, would give Kandi the voice she needed to express her feelings about her mother's treatment of her and Todd's relationship. This is also where we get the single Leg, Hips, and Body, featuring Portia, D. Woods, Identity Kane, and Funky Dineva.
I'm gonna give them all I got when I give them legs and hips and body.
This song will go viral 8 years later in 2022. I should also state that this is the season where Portia and Kenya get into their physical altercation, which Kandi would side with Portia on the matter.
Just to be clear, physical contact is not the correct response to someone getting in their personal
and also,
space.
in terms of the law, let's explain this. In terms of the
don't
law,
come in my physical space. You're threatening me.
But at
When
the
you step
same
that
time,
close to
you
me,
do
you're
not
threatening me.
elevate a situation. And in terms of the law, it's
And we would get one of Kandi's most viral one-liners.
I said what I said.
Okay, well, what you said was some bull.
And lastly, Mama Joyce would clarify her thoughts on Kandi's and Todd's relationship.
Mama Joyce, if you had to just boil it down, what do you have against Todd?
I don't have a thing against Todd because he's doing everything right.
This brings us into Kandi's second spinoff, her wedding special. In this 5-part special, we see Kandi dealing with a scheme that Todd set up in order for him to come to her with the bull-ish. This special was shot sometime shortly after the premiere of A Mother's Love. And here we see the stress Kandi's team is dealing with after jumping from one project to another so quickly, the project being her and Todd's wedding. Her team includes Johnny, another semi-important figure in Kandi's life. Todd puts pressure on the team to get everything that Kandi wants for her wedding, which includes lions and dancers for a Coming to America inspired performance. The pressure was so thick that it convinced Kandi's best friend, Carmen, to quit her position at the candy factory in order to preserve the friendship between the two. On the family front, Mama Joyce is on Todd's ass, making crazy accusations about not only him but his mother, Miss Sharon. The accusation being that her and Todd's father had a pimp and streetwalker relationship, causing the two to clash.
You got the wrong one now, bitch.
This was actually my first time watching this special, and I could not believe Mama Joyce's behavior, especially towards Todd's daughter, Kayla.
Got a great girl over there.
I got 2 great girls now.
But you got one really great girl that you always got to remember.
However, once Kandi heard these comments towards Kayla, she finally stood up to her mother.
Mama, don't do that.
Well,
That's
still,
a kid.
I know.
That's a kid. Mama, don't do that.
But
The topic of the prenup also spanned the special, but was eventually signed the day before the wedding. With that, the wedding went off without a hitch, even having Mama Joyce give Kandi away and making a relatively respectful speech.
to my daughter Kandi, I just want to say she seemed very happy. And Todd, I hope you continue to make her happy as she is tonight.
And with that, we now have Mrs. Kandi Burruss Tucker. Before we move on to season 7 of RHOA, I want to play a clip of this hilarious AI-generated rendition of Aunt Bertha's scheme claim.
Pictures, he was telling you a story, mama. Well, it could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come to you with the bullshit.
The altercation between Kenya and Portia and Apollo's unattested claims about Kenya pursuing him has officially drawn a line in the sand, with Team Kenya on one side and Team Phaedra on the other, with Kandi being Team Phaedra. However, with Apollo's admission,
I should not have told my wife that you offered me fellatio. You never see me in LA.
Kandi believes that she owes Kenya an apology because she did believe Apollo and therefore gave Kenya the cold shoulder. But everyone else on Team Phaedra feels that Apollo had ulterior motives.
He's why down because I just think he's trying to be mean to Phaedra.
So he's lying about lying.
Yeah.
Apollo would also accuse Phaedra of cheating on him with a man named Mr. Chocolate, who is alleged to be Jamal Bryant, the ex-husband of Real Housewives of Potomac, Giselle Bryant. This information would get back to the group, causing further division amongst them.
To see you again, the man that you've been sleeping with. There with as a married. Oh, no.
However, people would notice that Kandi would be the least reactive in the group.
Are definitely close, but I don't know if I can say we're as close as you and Kandi. And if I'm even up to have your back, I felt like she could have been a little more vocal.
All of this would cause Phaedra to feel the lack of support from Kandi.
Out of everybody in our group, you have been the most supportive. I would have thought, out of everybody, I would have thought it would have been Kandi.
The two women will finally sit down with each other and discuss the status of their friendship, with Kandi expressing that she felt that Phaedra hadn't been supportive neither.
You know, I've been going through some of the same things. Like, my tour was gonna cancel. At the same time, you didn't reach out to me to see, dang, what happened, you know?
I know this makes Kandi seem as if she has a lack of sympathy towards Phaedra, but we will get a better understanding of why she was so nonchalant about Phaedra's situation in later seasons. Sometimes during filming season 7, Todd's mother, Miss Sharon, would pass away. And though Mama Joyce would make amends with Todd,
And make up for the past, but I can do better in the future.
That's true.
there would still be some tension between not only them two, but also between Carmen and Mama Joyce. In an attempt to help the families blend, Todd and Kandi would organize a family winter getaway in Colorado, which was documented in Candy's next spinoff, Candy's Ski Trip. This 3-part special would show the Burrusses and the Tuckers getting to know each other under Kandi and Todd's marriage. While Kayla and Riley would find it easy to bond during the trip, Mama Joyce would have reservations with not only Todd but also Carmen. But after much convincing,
Mama Joyce, I'll tell you this on my mother's grave. I did nothing with Carmen.
all would leave with a more hopeful outlook to the future. At the reunion, Kandi would clarify her comments regarding the genuineness of Phaedra's and Nene's newfound friendship.
Of rock, or could I didn't have
Because
a heart
at
to
the
be
end
there
of the
for
day,
another
you was a
woman that
rock
was
from
going
her,
through.
but you was copying and texting her messages to us.
Candy.
You're not supposed
You know
to do
why
that,
I did
so
that,
why would
Candy?
she confide
You know,
in
let
you
me tell
knowing
you
that you
something.
would do?
So I'm a bad friend, that what you trying to say? We good.
Okay.
We good. I see.
We see each other.
We see each other.
And Kandi and Phaedra would further discuss their current friendship status.
To me, I think everybody's watching this show and they're, listening to Phaedra tell them, oh, Kandi hasn't been there for me, da-da-da. But never once, whenever we had a conversation, I never got that from you.
Outside of all the drama, Kandi and Todd would announce that they are actively working on expanding their family. This will bring us into season 8. I forgot to mention that Claudia Jordan was added to the cast of season 7 and she would bring some heat to the show.
When you were my age, you had edges.
But Kandi would have very little interaction with her. Claudia would also bring a friend, actress and singer Demetria McKinney into the mix.
You don't know me. The only thing we have in common right now is number 8. Yours is going, mine's been here for 8.
Again, not much interaction between Kandi and Demetria on the show initially, but Kandi will write and feature on a song for Demetria called Unnecessary Trouble. However, there would be some difficulties filming the music video because of Candy's pregnancy. That's right, Kandi and Todd are expecting their first child together, and with that, Mama Joyce has really stayed true to her promise.
My mom and Todd, their relationship has totally changed for the better, thank the Lord.
Kandi would be pressured to slow down, but she would still continue to work, and that includes going into the restaurant business with Todd when he proposes to open a Southern cuisine spot themed after the Old Lady Gang.
Me and Kandi were thinking.
Oh, yeah, what y'all think?
We were thinking about opening up a family restaurant.
I do not cook.
Before her pregnancy benched her from having fun with the girls, that included newcomer Kim Fields, Kandi would go on a Miami weekend getaway where a guest would bring the drama to a whole new level. The group would blame Kenya for instigating the situation, but Kandi would be the only one to really defend her.
Regardless of whether you like Kenya or not, he should never have aggressively turned around, started throwing up gang signs, calling her all kind of bitches, and like he was finna do something to her.
The real meat and potato for Kandi this season is her relationship with Phaedra. The two would finally sit down and talk about the many issues between them. Phaedra would express that she felt that Kandi and Todd were going against her because they kept Apollo's motorbikes at their home and that the feds came to her place looking for it.
Girl, the feds is coming to you about way more than this little motorbike and four-wheeler, I am sure.
Kandi would explain that Todd's issues with Phaedra is that she didn't pay him for producing her pregnancy workout video, which Phaedra would allude that Todd is falling on hard times and that's why he needs the money.
Poor Todd. He must be scrounging around the couch cushions for spare change since I heard that his LA TV projects are all dried up.
The show she is talking about is Hollywood Divas, which ran for 3 seasons on TV1, and it ended in 2016. Season 8 of RHOA aired in 2015. Fast forward, Kandi and Cynthia would let it be known that the feds came to their homes looking for Apollo's belongings and would speculate if Phaedra sent them.
Todd, did you think that Phaedra had called the feds?
Yeah.
Wow.
However, we would discover that they discovered the location of these items because Kandi mentioned it on Watch What Happens Live.
Todd is holding on to Apollo's motorcycles.
His motorcycle and his four-wheelers at our house.
Right. It's in your garage. Is that a point of contention?
I didn't know it was an issue. His car had been at Peter and Cynthia's house for like 5 months.
In his 2024 interview with Carlos King, Apollo would mention that once he was released from jail, he approached Todd about the entire motorbike situation, saying that he told Todd why he wanted the bike there and that he was disappointed in Todd for using it as a storyline.
So I go to him. I said, look, this what's going on. Can I put my stuff over here? How do y'all feel about that? Okay, cool, no problem. I said, look, just hold my stuff down. Here goes, I'm gonna bring it up. When you gonna bring it?
Get away from me with this, Apollo. I call BS on this because Phaedra was the one that put it out there that Todd and Kandi had it in the first place. That entire interview can be summarized by this.
Does anyone know what Apollo's talking about right now but Apollo?
But watch it for yourself. Moving on to season 9. Before we move on, I just want to say that I love this confessional look on Kandi. Top 2 for me. Post-production. On January 6, 2016, Kandi would give birth to Ace Well Tucker, and the family drama would be at an all-time minimum with that and the creation of their restaurant. Kandi would find it stressful allowing Todd to take full reign in the completion of the restaurant. However, she does make it clear why she's weary of the pace that the restaurant is being completed.
I want them to look in here and say, oh, it's so clean. Oh, it's so nice. We want to give them anything to be able to come at us.
Todd would eventually pull it off and present the OLG restaurant.
I always knew Todd could do it. He just needed a little push.
Kandi will also deal with the reintroduction of Block, Riley's father, who wants to reestablish a relationship with his daughter. While they stumble in the initial steps, the relationship does move on the right path.
What is the status of Riley and Block's relationship since we saw them at the Japanese restaurant?
He has still been consistent, reaching out to her more. They actually hung out last weekend.
That's great.
The real overarching storyline dealing with Kandi is her feud with Portia and subsequently Phaedra. Portia feels that Kandi has not been a good friend to Phaedra, and even though they are not close anymore, Kandi should still maintain a level of loyalty to Phaedra.
And this one right here, Kandi, there's something brewing with that bitch, but I'm gonna find out what that is.
And clearly she did find something, and it was revealed during a glamping trip.
Kandi, are you a lesbian?
Ooh, had been saying that. Who said that?
So, Portia, you and I were having a conversation.
Me?
I jokingly said, well, how does Kandi know for a fact? I said, maybe she was in a closet, girl.
Or still in one. Okay, that's none of my business.
Kandi would clarify that she hasn't done anything that Portia hasn't done.
I mean, she's definitely hooked up with women, definitely. If she gets drunk, she becomes an aggressive lesbian.
Right. Aggressive.
The two will have a sit down further discussing their newly revealed information in further detail.
You and your relationship that you had with a woman for 7 years, you ended it abruptly when people found out.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's just like when you was kissing me in the club and told me you wanted to eat my till I came. Whether you don't want to believe it.
Bye! Girl, I thought we were having an honest conversation.
I'm having an honest conversation with you.
Now, you don't have a dungeon?
No, I do not.
Matter of fact, why don't you call Todd and ask him about what he just told a girl in New York this past weekend?
Okay, please. I will ask.
Telling him his name is Marvin.
Okay.
So that he can cheat.
After, Kandi would prove that Portia was the aggressor and she would take legal action towards Portia.
Finally got my phone back on. It's been broke for 3 days. By the way, I've been laughing every day since Queens. We was turned up for real. Just want you to know I'm not you on camera, so no worries. I said, if you say anything crazy on camera, I'm gonna walk away and leave you standing there like I don't know you. Yeah, she says, good. Queens is Vegas. Goes on there, stays there.
Yeah.
This chick tried to turn it around and said that we tried to drug her.
You told someone that you were going to drug me and take me to a
dungeon. I will sue your ass if you keep saying it. I know that.
I was served a cease and desist by Kandi.
This is not the only legal situation Kandi would deal with, as her former employee Johnny would take legal action against Kandi and her business for unpaid compensation and would seek Phaedra for legal advice.
And I was talked about the restaurant. Kandi thought it was a good idea because she said she's always looking for something to invest in. This isn't the first time that an idea has been ripped off, just like the play A Mother's Love. I would get paid for 5 working days, but I would technically work 7 days.
Johnny's legal team would go after Kandi for only the unpaid overtime.
You know what they sued me for? Unpaid overtime.
How much could it be? $5,000?
No, $168,000. A ridiculous amount.
Kandi would reveal that Johnny's wage, the wage that he accepted, was on the lower end of what a person in that position would be offered. Kandi would also rebuttal Johnny's unpaid overtime by asking how could Johnny work all that overtime while running his own business. Kandi and Johnny would settle outside of court for an undisclosed amount. While this is happening, the tension between Phaedra and Kandi would reach a new high. So much so that Kandi would start to reveal some secrets about Phaedra.
You was already talking to other people before your husband even went to jail.
And would also ask Phaedra about her involvement with Johnny.
So my question to you is, were you the one that gave him the advice about suing me?
Well, of course, as an attorney, I can't speak on that.
At the reunion, Portia would finally reveal who said that about Kandi and Todd wanting to, quote unquote, have fun with her.
So what I want to do is have Phaedra speak, because she's the one who told me that Kandi said that. You said that?
Did Phaedra tell you the Marvin thing?
Phaedra, did you tell me the Marvin thing?
Yes.
This is really ridiculous on Phaedra's part. She fessed up to nothing, simply claiming that she heard the rumor and repeated it to Portia, but Portia insists that Phaedra said that Kandi told her directly.
For some reason, I don't know if you heard me wrong. Maybe I said
Here comes the spin.
Now this situation remains unsolved as Phaedra insists that the show's producers told her this information, but we haven't found out whether or not it's true. It was also stated that Phaedra did go into detail about the situation on her season of The Ultimate Girls Trip, but the content was cut. Which leads me to believe that she is still sticking to the notion that production told her this information. And if she did, they would cut this scene because it would leave them liable for damage done to Kandi. But I still don't understand why she would claim that Kandi told her directly and not say anything to support Portia while she was making these claims. But if you are still with me at this point in the video, let me know by commenting your thoughts over the concept of friendship. How does a person, a stranger, become a friend, and when does a friend stop being a friend? Post-production, many people will side with Kandi over the situation.
Freaking fraud. Those are the two that I would get rid of right away, honey. They're declassing the show.
And with all that transpired, Kandi would give production an ultimatum. Phaedra goes or she does. And this would be the last time we will see Phaedra on RHOA. It wasn't all drama during this time for Kandi. She earned writing credits for Ed Sheeran's #1 song, Shape of You, after fandom noticed similarities between that song and TLC's No Scrubs.
Girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I may be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, I don't want no scrub. The scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me.
Pre-production. The absence of Phaedra left some room for stunt casting with the reintroduction of Nene Leakes as a peach holder and Kim Zolciak as friend to the show. Kandi and Nene would be at the best place they have ever been. They are so good that Kandi would have her be a part of the opening act for her group's reunion tour. That's right, Escape is back after the members received news of a potential project telling their life stories. During her Club Shay Shay interview, Kandi revealed that she heard from someone else that the project was being done and that EP of RHOA for the past 4 years, Carlos King, was a part of the project and he said nothing to her about it. The ordeal was documented in the show Escape Still Kicking It, where Kandi and her bandmates would confront Jermaine Dupri about his involvement. After, Kandi would confront her bandmate Tamika Scott about the rumors she spread about her.
Had Jermaine not been sleeping with Kandi, the group might not have broken up. That's what she liked to do. She slept with the whole So-So Def. She slept with his daddy. She just liked to sleep around. That's what she do.
Which would result in an apology.
2 years ago, Kandi and myself had a little feud going on concerning something I said in an interview and it wasn't true. And I apologize for that.
Thank you.
With that, Escape was reunited. The ladies would go through the same trials and tribulation they went through earlier in their careers, mostly due to Kandi's hesitation.
Kandi, either you in or you out. What you want to do? Are you in or you out?
But eventually, the ladies would pull it together and throw a successful comeback tour. However, they would hit some bumps in the road. While performing as Escape's opening comedic act, Nene would tell a joke offending some in the crowd. She would go back and forth with the heckler, resulting in the heckler telling Nene to unalive herself, prompting Nene to respond by telling the person that she should be SA'd. Scandal would ensue, causing Escape to make a decision, while Kandi would be in support of Nene to stay, but as a whole, the group decided to drop Nene as their opening act. Outside of this, Kandi would start seeing the fruits of her labor. The OLG restaurant would be doing great business, as well as Kandi getting the cover of Essence magazine. She will also be dealing with the aftermath of Phaedra and Portia's lies. Actually, Portia would be dealing with it more than she would.
You deserve some discipline for what you did to Kandi.
After several poor attempts to apologize to Kandi, Portia and Kandi would decide to move on from the issue.
Let's let this go today so that we do not allow people to ask us more questions about it in the future.
However, for some reason, Kim Zolciak would insert herself into Kandi's life via lies.
Let me tell you about Kandi. On my kid's life, hope God strikes me dead. I wouldn't let her lick my box.
Don't tell me she offered to lick your box.
But that would be quickly cleared up.
It's a figure of speech.
You said it on Kim. You said it on Kim.
Somebody want to eat your box?
You said that.
That you
and that's
sit
what I said to her.
Watch us on television. You
That's
watch
not
the whole
true.
from last
That's
year,
not true.
and you sit there like a fan.
Bye, wig, and take Sheree with you. Moving on, Eva Marcel, as well as Kandi's industry friend Shamari DeVoe, would be given peaches. I enjoy Eva's contribution on the show, but Shamari's time could be summarized by this.
I need those shoulders bouncing.
For the first half of season 11, Kandi was preoccupied with maintaining her friendship with Portia. Unfortunately, because the streets of Atlanta came to Kandi with tea about Portia's boyfriend and future husband Dennis McKinley, this would result in Kandi and Portia blowing up on each other.
You always are the aggressor and then become the victim.
I'm nobody's victim, bitch.
You don't know how to control yourself. That's the problem.
Now, at this moment, Kandi did not know Portia was pregnant, but I don't think that would have changed Kandi's reaction towards her, because as Kandi revealed while she guest hosted on The Real,
Tiny was pregnant when she swung on me, and I swung on her back.
Wait, what?
It's so terrible. I love her to death. But, I mean, I feel like if you come at me, I'm coming at you.
so I think it was best that Portia stayed seated. However, a bonding trip to Tokyo would have Kandi singing a different tune.
I feel pretty shitty about some of the things I said about Dennis. I apologize for all that I said.
Thank you.
For real.
Thank you, Kandi.
The two would be back on good terms and be a united front for a storm that has been brewing in the background. Unfortunately, while all this is happening, Nene was dealing with the harsh reality of Greg's cancer diagnosis and having to be his main caretaker. This situation would take such a toll on her that she would begin to lash out towards those close to her.
Story I never even heard, Blinded. Marlo, support me, bitch.
Resulting in a major meltdown.
What happened to my shoes?
I'm about to leave, y'all.
No, Kandi, hold on.
It is 9 o'clock.
It's 9. That's so early.
Be a friend right now. We need a support system.
Ooh, I just realized I'm up here by the closet. Can I see your closet now?
Oh, hell no. Go see it, Kandi. Kandi, go see it.
I'm going.
Kandi, you better bring your...
Yeah, don't try me, Kandi.
Let me see this damn
Kandi,
closet.
at the end of the day, don't go.
What happened?
Don't play with me, motherfucker. I will you up.
Take my mic. I don't want to be in here no more. I'm scared.
Okay, give a mic on. I need y'all to let me out.
The entire ordeal would be discussed at the reunion.
The reason why I wanted to look in the closet in the first place, because she had already said to me, oh, my closet's fabulous, honey, you gotta see it.
Now, I don't remember saying that. You need to come into my closet, baby. I will shut yours all the way down.
Nene did say not to go in there, but it wasn't like, hell no, it was more like laughing, like, y'all stop now.
I completely agree.
Business-wise, Escape was awarded the ASCAP Award. She and Todd opened up a second restaurant, and she started her Welcome to the Dungeon variety show. On the business of family, Todd and Kandi would choose to expand their family via surrogate. After making the final decision to have a baby via surrogate, we would see Kandi deal less with the girl group and more with her family. Her and Todd would find it difficult to balance work and family and simply having another woman carrying their child. But like always, the two would make it work, and on November 22nd, 2019, Blaze Tucker would be welcomed to the world. As for the ladies, Kandi would act as more of emotional support for them and give her opinions on certain situations.
Everybody in this group has gotten over things way worse than what y'all gotten over.
I've never had a child and I've never had a husband, and she used it against me.
I get you, but nobody's ever accused you of.
This would result in her and Nene having a blow up at the reunion.
Can either of you explain how this started? Because it seemed that you were getting along well this season.
I text Kandi and told her that it had nothing to do with her. She still went to the next level with it. I've never been the type of girl to back down from nobody.
What they are arguing about is Nene implying that only one person seems to get all the spinoffs. This would cause Kandi to make an impromptu tutorial on how to get your own spinoff. Basically, Kandi, along with one of the producers of RHOA, explained that in reality of the situation, out of all the franchises, only 2 housewives have spin-off series, while Kandi has the most one-off specials. And that one of the main reasons she has all these specials is because she has an ensemble cast surrounding her. It's really a great video, and I encourage you all to watch it. Outside of Housewives, Kandi would participate in Celebrity Big Brother, where the highlight of her time there would be her interaction with fellow housemate Tamar Braxton. Moving on to season 13. Due to the nationwide mandatory stay-at-home order, the activity with the ladies was rather tame, but the drama wasn't, as Kandi would bring the dungeon from the stage to home for the group, which included newcomer Drew Sidora and returning peach Kenya Moore. A wild night with the ladies would lead to the official exit of friend to the show, Tanya Sam, and would leave all wondering what happened with Dancer Bolo when the cameras weren't looking. This wasn't the only scandal that the ladies dealt with, as with the marches for social and justice reform would have the ladies request reform within the Atlanta franchise production team. From what I can gather, the cast would plan to request as a group that Truly Original give more employment opportunities to African Americans via employment and internships. Despite the social restrictions during the time, Kandi and Todd were still able to open up their next restaurant, Blaze, named after their daughter. She will also be the first female to win the Masked Singer that year. Production would choose to let go of 9-year peach holder Cynthia Bailey and add gold medalist Sia Richards-Ross as a cast member. But with the unexpected departure of Portia Williams, production would scramble and do some stunt casting with the return of Sheree and the promotion of Marlo Hampton to full-time peach holder. Marlo has to be the worst housewife cast member out of the entire Real Housewives franchises, which is sad because she came in with a great storyline, being new to motherhood due to her becoming a Monty to her 2 nephews. However, the pressure proved to be too great, resulting in her kicking them out.
I've been going through a lot.
Well, you said you were going through some things with your sister.
Well, long story short, I kicked the boys out.
What?
I told them to get the out.
And despite everyone knowing her situation, Marlo would still voice her opinion on others' parenting skills.
I congratulate you for adopting him.
I cannot logically adopt him if his father wants to be a part of his life.
You're a foster child, so I'm like, how are you gonna adopt me, then you're not?
Prompting Kandi to call her out.
I think that it's weird that you sent your nephews back and made them feel like...
The tension between the two would accumulate and cause Marlo to say some not so nice things about Kandi.
That bitch was and that wasn't good, and that's why you right here always got the date underneath your tax bracket.
On Kandi's YouTube series, Speak On It, Kandi expressed that she and Todd had helped Marlo get a show on another network.
I got this bitch a whole TV show on a whole nother network.
Todd will also explain about his experience with Marlo during the African trip.
Earlier Thirsty years, we went to Africa. Remember, I worked production, so you paid to go on the trip. You paid for your flight.
But Marlo would explain that she didn't like the deal.
The contract did not make sense for me, and I said no, Kandi.
Marlo will also downplay Kandi's relevance. Sheree also joined Marlo in the Kandi hate train, but she claims it to be in response to the things Kandi has said on Speak On It.
Y'all do realize She by Sheree is not out yet. You know, it's not out yet. Like, She by Sheree is not Sheree yet. It's not Sheing by Sheree.
On the entertainment front, Kandi set her sights on EGOT status, but she would hit some bumps in the road.
We had to shut the play down.
I want to make it happen because I know it's not just for me.
But she would stay strong and continue to pursue for EGOT. She would start by doing more acting jobs, including a reoccurring role on The Chi. On the business side of things, her and Todd's restaurants are seeing some difficulties amongst the staff, so they would step in and do some reorganizing, which was all documented on another spin-off series called Kandi and the Gang. And despite the gang pulling it together, some chaos would pursue shortly after. Unfortunately, people would use this negative notoriety to give themselves a storyline.
There was like an incident. Talking about the shooting that happened at place? You found one who was close to me as well. My brother is dead, bitch!
As far as Marlo is concerned, she, for some reason, wanted to correlate the incident at Kandi's restaurant with a very similar incident that happened to her nephew 2 years ago. Here's the thing, Marlo's nephew's situation didn't even happen at the restaurant. It happened at his apartment after he stopped working for Kandi.
When we left the other night from seeing you from Todd's party, my phone was blowing up. She's like, call me, they just killed my baby, your nephew. I'm like, and just him and a guy, a roommate, got into it.
Still, Marlo felt that Kandi should have been more sympathetic.
What did I say the big issue was, though, y'all, that day? What did I say the big issue was?
I didn't give her flowers.
And Kandi would have a simple response.
If it was the issue,
Her flowers. That's what I got to say about that. Her and those flowers that she was expecting to get.
At the reunion, Kandi would summarize her feelings about Marlo at the time.
You are always jealous of how things go well for me.
Also, at the reunion, Sheree would address her issues, and I do use the term issues loosely.
Have you talked to Sheree?
No, we haven't talked.
She's not selling anything.
That was the thing. We tried to help her. She didn't want to pay nobody.
But you could never, honey, never.
You always talk about butts, not shots, not or whatever.
Yeah.
You put all the shots in your face. The shots is going.
I actually had some of my,
yeah, after you was on, go ahead, print out what you want.
Not pants, not pants.
Is this a newspaper that you printed? She News?
She would print some, I wish she would print some fashions. I wish.
She put more work in that pamphlet than her fashion line. Anyway, Kandi and Todd will produce a movie named The Past, starring Drew Sidora.
All right. Kandi, did it upset you when you watched Drew claim that you made up the LaToya kissing story to promote your movie?
Of course.
I find it weird that multiple castmates had major connections with Kandi due to the fact that she had so many business ventures that it kept her away from spending a lot of time with the group.
Shit, Kandi. You act like you're above everyone and never want to share anything other than your business. Don't you think you should step down or take a break since you're so busy? Hardly ever show up for the girls and do not want to discuss any personal business that doesn't show you in a good light.
Kandi would end season 15 celebrating an Emmy nomination and a Tony nomination for her work on La Musica de Familia and The Piano Lesson, respectively, which is an accomplishment within itself.
It's not easy to get nominated for a Tony. That's like one of the hardest ones.
Though she did not win, she would continue to try for EGOT status as well as stay true to her roots by going on tour with Escape and fellow 90s R&B group SWV after the two groups received high praise for their versus battle. SWV and Escape, the Queens of R&B, would document the preparation for the group's combined tour. While Escape would present the issues amongst the production, Kandi and Tiny would not be the ones causing the issues, and it would rather be conflict between sisters Tamika and Tasha Scott over residual checks.
When you and Rocky stole my money.
The situation would be so tumultuous that Tasha would choose to leave the group by not showing up for rehearsals, forcing the girl group to move on without her. Combined tour would be a success without the inclusion of Tasha, and in early 2025, Tasha would ironically perform the Chris Brown residual challenge, making claims that she was kicked out the group, but Kandi would clarify that she left the group herself.
It's kind of like, you said you didn't want to do no shows with us, so we gotta get our money. We just continue doing what we supposed to be doing.
Back at the Real Housewives front, in early 2024, Kandi would make the shocking announcement that she would not be returning to the franchise.
Housewives, tell me, what's the latest? How do you keep up? How do we keep up?
I'm not really keeping up right now. I'm not keeping up. I already said it, so I'll tell you. I decided I'm not coming back this year. They allowed us to sit around for a little too long because it was making a decision. But during that time, I had started working on a lot of other things, and I got some nice big projects coming soon.
This would make her the longest running Atlanta Housewives for 14 consecutive seasons and the second longest running housewife of all the franchises behind Tamra Judge of Orange County with 15 seasons under her belt. Kandi Burruss Tucker's entry in the Real Housewives franchise would bring a new energy and elevate its status amongst reality television and entertainment as a whole. Her notoriety before joining the franchise brought new eyes to the show when she joined. Her drive showed how reality television could help one bring themselves to new heights, and her authenticity solidified her as a reality TV legend. I am looking forward to watching her on her journey for another 14 years. With Kandi gone, the production house for RHOA would again begin to panic and do some more stunt casting. With Sonya, Marlo, and Sheree not returning, that only left Kenya Moore and Drew Sidora remaining. They would add newcomers Britt Eddy, Kelly Farrell, and Angela Oakley on the cast, as well as the always entertaining Portia Williams. Longtime friend to the show, Shamia Morton, would also receive her peach. This cast was looking alright at the moment, but news would break that Kenya was abruptly removed from the cast and filming after a possible illegal act was committed by her. This would prompt production to make a couple of additions to the cast with the return of Cynthia Bailey and Phaedra Parks. This season is going to be good. I really want to see the dynamic between Frick and Frack after several years and how Shamia will interact with Phaedra. Let me know what you think will happen this season below. And if you like this content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when I upload. And I will catch you in the next one.